It's important to remember that back to school also includes the mental preparation for the caregivers of students and teachers. Here to talk tips for adjusting into a new school year is mental health professional Kalissa Ngazi. Kalissa, caregivers and teachers want the best for their kids. What are some of your suggestions for back to school?
First of all, everyone needs to just breathe. Right? So we practice mindfulness a lot, which is living in the moment. We're not worried about the past. We're not worried about the future. Let's get through the first week of school. And I think a lot of times people forget about the educators and the parents because we do focus on the kids, which is important, but who are the people that are teaching and educating our kids, right? And during the school year, teachers actually spend more time with our children than we do. So it can be stressful. So for educators, what I would say is just focus on being happy to be back in the classroom. Focus on the kids, whether it's, junior, senior, post-secondary. Focus on those that are there to learn. And for our parents, I would say focus on the fact that your kid is excelling. Hopefully they're moving towards, the next generation. But it is stressful. My kid is going into high school. My kid is going into elementary school. My kid is going into post-secondary education. And what does that look like? And I think as a society, we need to focus more on those transition pieces and helping lighten the load of stress.
I was saying to you earlier, my son is going into grade 9. So new grade, high school, new school. And he's already asked me a lot of questions about it. What would you say to parents who have children that are now entering high school? How can they help them prepare?
Well, I think part of it too is, what was your high school experience like? If it was a great one, you're going to be excited. You're going to give him tips of what it was like for you at that time. If it wasn't such a great experience, you might have your own stressors. So we need to be careful that we're not placing those on our children as well. So they are their own person and they need to have their own experiences. So my advice would be just encourage them. Don't let your misgivings or misconceptions affect them in any way, and just be there for them and look at the exciting pieces. Grade 9, that is a big deal. And especially in new school, it can be intimidating. I don't know where to find my classroom. I don't know what courses I should choose. So it's a lot. So just lean in and be that support they need.
And, I talk to people about elementary school and how quick it went. And they say, you just wait until high school.
Yeah.
It's 4 years. We were talking about how there's no longer OAC. Yeah. How do we help kids prepare for post-secondary?
Well, here's the thing. When you and I were in school, grade 13, OAC was a thing. So we had 5 years to prepare ourselves. Myself, my birthday's in December, so I was a young, 18-year-old, entering into the workforce, post-secondary. Nowadays, we're expecting 16 and 17-year-olds to make these life-altering decisions. They can't. They don't know what they're going to do 9 times out of 10. So as a parent and as an educator, all you can do is lean in and help them to make those decisions and let them know that nothing is final. I mean, I'm 39.8 years old and I'm still trying to figure out life, right? So just be supportive. That's what they need the most.
With college, university, trades, there often is that burnout period in October. They're not used to that workload. What would you say to that? How can they help deal with that, the amount of work that they're experiencing in college or university?
Well, I think as educators, I know in my classroom as a professor, I try to remember not to throw everything at them, at the same time, because it can be overwhelming, especially in post-secondary when you're taking 4 or 5 courses. It's very different layout than when high school. With high school, you have a little bit more time, more flexibility, and you'll have teachers that you can go to and ask these questions, whereas in post-secondary, you're on your own a lot of the times. Yes, you can go to your professor, you can ask questions, but they're not going to chase you. They're not going to make sure that you're handing in the assignments. So really, it's a culture shock when you enter into this institution. The same with trades. When you're thrown into an apprenticeship, the expectation is that you're working while learning. So it can be overwhelming if you're not used to a 40-hour work week. So it's about preparing our students ahead of time.
I was mentioning to you, sometimes we think about the school year from September to June, and that can be really overwhelming. Is it best to chunk it? Think about the week, think about the next holiday. What would you say about that?
Well, I think students put a lot of stress on themselves, and I think parents also do the same thing. So we need to look at it, okay, September, let's get through the first week of school, because usually by the first Friday, we are burnt out. We are done, we are agitated and irritated, and everyone is just overstimulated. So really, let's get through the first month. And then let's look at, we've got Thanksgiving coming up, and then we've got Christmas break and March break, or if you're in post-secondary, you've got reading week. So if we focus on, I have to get to graduation, I have to get to the next grade, you're gonna stress yourself out. So it's about chunking it, like you said, and just small portions get us through the day.
So many awesome tips, advice. Calissa, what would you say is the one takeaway you want parents to think about as they prepare for back to school?
Don't stress each other out. Just sit back, take a moment, use mindfulness, breathe, meditation, whatever it is that you need to do. It is going to be okay. And if it's not, you'll figure it out.
And for educators that are now entering August, they're thinking about back to school. What would you say to them?
Well, it's about getting back into routine. And sometimes that's hard. When you're on summer break, a lot of times it's not as rigid. So start preparing yourself 1 or 2 weeks before so that that routine doesn't shock you and you're ready for it.
Calissa, thank you so much for joining us in the studio today.